Thank you very much, especially ARO, Ahwaz Human Rights Organization, for hosting this event and inviting me to be at the panel. My name is Mosa Zahed. I represent Middle East Forum for Development. It's a London-based organization, but we are active in The Hague, in the Netherlands. We do a lot of advocacy work there, as well as in Brussels, in Belgium, working in the European Parliament. And also here in the United Kingdom, in the House of Commons, trying to persuade governments, basically, to hold human rights principles high when they deal with repressive countries. I myself, I was born in Iraq, in Kirkuk. My parents are Iranian. I've never been to Iran because of the government there and because of our political opposition to that government. In fact, my mother is Azeri, she's from Tabriz, and my father is northern from Mazandaran. So, just to show how diverse Iran is in culture and also in ethnicity. A lot has been said already, but I've already prepared a speech, so I do apologize if I repeat some of the concepts that have been discussed here. Prior to the Iranian anti-monarchical revolution of 1979, when Khomeini was in exile for 15 years, he and his followers did not hesitate to use the then modern-day technology in order to steer events in Iran against the repressive regime of the Shah. Khomeini recognized the power of technology, and thus recorded his messages on cassette tapes and videotapes, which his followers would smuggle into Iran, distributing them among the people in the hope of achieving grassroots mobilization for his cause. 30 years after the establishment of Khomeini's Islamic Republic of Iran, a new generation of Iranians returned to the streets using technology as a means of mobilization, but this time targeting the very institution of Velayat Faqih, put into practice by Khomeini in 1979. The social protests across Iran, which erupted following the disputed presidential election results in 2009, came to be known as a wave for freedom and democratization. As we all know, press freedom in Iran is a mere mirage. Reporters Without Borders ranks the country in its press freedom index of 2016, 169th among the 180 countries, and Iran has been designated as the world's biggest prison for women journalists. Only last month, an Iranian Revolutionary Court handed long prison terms to 4 journalists on charges of having acted against national security. Moreover, the Iranian authorities continue to censor news and analysis and effectively decide what newspapers and magazines may and may not cover. Many journalists subsequently apply self-censorship when they work on sensitive issues out of fear of repercussions. Civil society activists suffer similarly from stringent restrictions imposed by the authorities. Last Wednesday, the notorious judge Abul Qasim Salavati, who heads the 15th Division of Tehran Islamic Revolutionary Court, sentenced Narges Mohammadi, who is the vice president of the Defenders of Human Rights Center in Iran and a renowned human rights and anti-death penalty activist, to 16 years in prison for her activities against the death penalty, assembly and spreading propaganda against the state, and acting against the national security of Iran. In such a repressive environment, it is extremely difficult for the media and human rights defenders to operate. Therefore, during the 2009 protests, mobile phones synchronized with social media such as Facebook and Twitter played a crucial role in grassroots mobilization and in crowd reporting, disclosing to the world the authorities' brutality against peaceful protesters across the country. Neda Agha Sultan's death at the hands of a member of the Basij militia, which was recorded with a mobile phone camera and distributed online, provided Iran's struggle for freedom and democracy with a face as the grisly footage went viral globally. Neda's brutal death resembles the reality of those who take action against the Iranian regime, and it instigated solidarity from millions of people across the globe. It even unusually forced the US President Barack Obama to speak out, stipulating that those who stand up for justice are always on the right side of history. Modern-day technology enabled human rights activists to expose, through detailed testimonies, torture and sexual harassment of men and women who were arrested during the 2009 protests and detained at Kahrizak Detention Center in southern Tehran. The uncovered abuses at the hands of the authorities were so severe that it pressured some senior figures in the Islamic Republic to outrightly condemn the practices. Indeed, as the Iranian authorities got away with a massacre of thousands of political prisoners in the space of a few months during the summer of 1988 without sparking global outrage or condemnation, Ali Khamenei was in 2009 confronted with a bitter reality, namely that getting away with atrocities would not be as easy in this digital era compared to the previous decades. In our activities as a non-governmental organization, we have always aimed to be the voice of those who sacrifice their lives for the values of freedom, democracy, and human rights. Through our advocacy projects, we have strived to encourage governments across the European Union to intensify business ties with repressive countries only on condition that improvement of the human rights situation could be observed. This has not been an easy task in an environment of realpolitik, which naturally has a demoralizing effect on people's aspiration for building a better society in countries where fundamental rights are bitterly crushed. During the 2009 social protests in Iran, the people cried out, "Obama, ya ba una, ya ba ma," which translates into, "Obama, you're either with us or with them." For now, as Western countries fall over each other, trying to secure lucrative contracts with the Iranian regime following the lifting of nuclear-related sanctions on Iran, it appears that the international community has quickly forgotten the Iranians' people's aspiration for democratic change and the misery of the Syrian people caused by the Iranian regime's expansionist policies in the region. As the policies of repression, torture, and executions continue unabatedly, and the Iranian authorities continue to destabilize the region, imperiling global peace and security, now is the time to uphold our principles instead of compromising them in the interest of short-term economic gains. I would like to end my speech with an excerpt from Hashim Shabani's letter to his family prior to his execution in 2014, following a grossly unfair trial. In the letter he states that, "I can't ignore the hideous crimes against Ahwazis perpetrated by the Iranian authorities, particularly arbitrary and unjust executions. I've tried to defend the legitimate rights that every people in this world should have, which is the right to live freely with full civil rights. With all these miseries and tragedies, I have never used the weapon to fight these atrocious crimes, except the pen. Let us salute those who dedicated their lives to uphold the rights of others, and let us renew our commitment to honor the aspirations of the people of Iran who continue to suffer every day under religious tyranny." I thank you all.